It's Dakota from Band Banta, and I'm joined by MOHI, a New Zealand artist who is doing the Next On initiative. For those who aren't familiar with your music or your sound, are you able to give us a bit of an introduction?
Kia ora te iwi, my name is Mohi. I'm a R&B soul artist from West Auckland, Henderson, West Auckland, and I create music that fuses R&B soul hip hop with Māori instrumentation and Māori storytelling.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's sort of my sound. Some people call it genre bending. I feel like once you find the groove in the studio or whatever you're doing, the music sort of comes with it. And so, yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Yeah, because primarily my audience is Australian, so they may not have heard of you before. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, which is exciting. So I hope people listening and tuning in go and check out your stuff because you also released an album, which we'll get into. So music has always been a big part of your life, but it was the COVID lockdown that you really started reconnecting with the craft of songwriting and music making and starting your solo project. What was it like getting back into singing and songwriting during this time?
yeah, I feel like music grounded me in that particular time of my life. I had just moved back to Auckland. I was staying in the far north, and so during that period, there was heaps of free time
Yeah.
to get creative and to lock in into something. And so I was really stoked that at that time I went back to music. I
Hmm.
started doing a bunch of online gigs and just started writing music again. And then years went on, community grew, and now we're here having a yarn, which is
Yeah.
actually crazy.
It's so
Yeah,
cool.
so yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you talk a bit more about online gigs? I don't think that's something that we really explored here in Australia. That sounds really intriguing.
yeah. So well during that period, there were still, especially for Māori communities, there were heaps of, we call them kaupapa or events that were still going on
Hmm.
that used to be in person they were put online. And so things like language courses,
Hmm.
other things like artist events. And so because we're all at home, I was sort of seeking out all of these opportunities and putting myself in front of um, different communities to see if they'd like somebody to sing at
Yeah,
their online events. And so in those particular times, they'd be like, cool, it was for free. We're all having a fun time. And
yeah.
I guess that was where the sort of the beginning of the solo career started. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. What a great way to stay connected, but also a great way to share your music and kind of see how people respond to this music you're making and this journey you're going on as well, without having to do it in front of a live audience, which can be quite scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, how do you think your music and sound has evolved since 2020?
I definitely think it's grown. I've grown as a person as well. Um, but I've just learned a lot of things. Like, I think in terms of the way that I write music, it's a lot clearer. Different projects, they all hold particular meaning. The intention is so much more clear now. I've made three albums now, and at the moment I'm working on a fourth.
Yeah.
And each album I've learned something different along the way, which is really cool. I guess it's an artist evolving. But I think outside of even music, just learning about the music scene, how to engage with audience, how to market myself, all of those different things have been learned across that period of time. And so definitely growing as an artist as well as, yeah, as a brand, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like there's been a lot of growth throughout those years. What's the music scene like over there? Do you find it's quite a tight-knit community? It's like how do people come to your shows and what's their interactions with that? Because here in Australia it's pretty tight-knit and people love getting around gigs and gigs can get quite rowdy. How about for yourself?
Yeah, it's a buzzy thing. I feel like depending on what city you're in, there's a
Hmm.
community there. And so for Auckland and for my parts of town anyway, we have like a music community, we have an artist community,
Yeah.
and generally when we're gigging, we're either gigging for each other or we're gigging within the same sort of venues within the city. And so definitely tight knit. audiences that come through, they differ, and it depends on, I guess, the type of event that's happening. As a Māori artist, I do heaps of community events. So
Yeah.
they could be fundraisers or gigs for schools. We have kohanga reo here, which are like childcare centres, and
Okay.
sometimes they'll have fundraisers. And so the audience always changes, but everyone is super interested in Māori music in particular.
Yeah.
And at the moment in New Zealand, there's a lot of artists and a lot of Māori artists reconnecting with their language and creating music in a whole bunch of different genres. And so I feel like it's a really exciting time for Māori music
Hmm.
and Indigenous.
That sounds awesome. That's really exciting. Yeah, I mean that kind of goes into my one of my other questions, which is not only do you sing in English, but you also sing in Te Reo Māori. Um, why do you
Nice.
think it's important for, yeah, I know, I'm trying my best with the pronunciation. Why do you think it's important for artists to incorporate multiple languages into their music?
Yeah, I think for myself, being Māori is all I know. And so
Yeah.
even writing music, it's always there, whether I'm writing about it or trying to find a way to storytell, even in English, it all comes from a Māori perspective. And so it's kind of like a no-brainer for me.
Hmm.
But I think for artists, engaging with language and um, using multiple languages in their music, I think it's good for language preservation
Yeah.
and normalization in the music scene.
Mm.
Um, it's also a cool way to connect with audiences, to bring our culture to new spaces, to new audiences like this,
Yeah.
to get people around the world listening and locking into Māori culture or Indigenous culture. It's a point of difference as well. But I think at the core of it, like as me as a Māori artist, I just really love it, and I love the
Yeah.
challenge of creating bilingual music because of the way that it bridges two worlds, not just in the
Yeah.
lyrics but also in the music itself. And so, in bridging it within music or within songs, the hope is that it bridges cultures like human to human, um, tribe to tribe, country to country. And so, yeah, for anyone that's doing multiple languages in your music, go hard for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's fantastic. You know, music is a universal language, and I don't think you
Mm,
need to speak the language of what's being sung to really feel the stories that are being told. Have you had any, reactions of people that are primarily English speaking coming up to you and explaining how your music makes them feel and how it's made them interested in learning more about Māori culture?
yeah, for sure. I had this gig in Canada for a summit over there,
Hmm.
and was performing predominantly Māori music and bilingual music. And I would say 90%, 95% of the audience had no idea what language I was speaking,
Yeah.
had an idea of Māori culture, but probably the extent of maybe the haka that the All Blacks do, like
Yeah.
so that particular interaction and then meeting people afterwards and then being like, it is crazy that you're singing in two languages for one, and that particular song still really rang true to them.
Hmm.
Um, Without them actually knowing what the songs are about, just the feeling, like how you said, the feeling that's conveyed through the music. And so there's been heaps of instances where there's been audiences or people that have come up and just wanted to yarn about what is that song about, because
Yeah.
it's making me feel a type of way and I need to know, and so
Yeah.
that's all cool. Like I love that.
That's awesome. Yeah. When you get to hear a song and the way it makes you feel, like there's nothing that beats that, really.
Yeah, hard out.
So you released your third album in 2025 and it's titled The Flowers That Grow from Concrete Pavements. Can you break down the album for me? I really love the album title and would love to know more about what it means. And how did you decide on that?
This album was the writing, the process, everything was very unconventional. Like
Okay.
the first two albums that I had written, they followed general flow of writing an album. You write a demo, you might go record the demo, then you'll try to find, okay, how does the project come together?
Mm.
This album come out of nowhere, actually straight after the Canada shows, and
Yeah.
it was written in 3 weeks. The whole album,
Really?
and there were a lot more songs than that, maybe 20 songs, but the album was written in 3 weeks. I sat there for a day thinking, okay, what do I do with this music? And then the next day reached out to my friends and we produced it and mixed mastered and it was ready for the
Mhm.
people. The title itself and the album is it's linked to my upbringing, where I'm from, the people and community that raised me. There's a
Yeah.
song on called Flowers in Hendo, and that's Hendo is just the slang for Henderson,
Okay.
where I was born and raised.
Yeah.
And the album itself, it flows almost like phases of healing.
Okay.
So it starts off with title tracks and fun songs, and then it kind of goes deeper into this introspective storytelling about my life, my people, how I was raised, and also like the different stories that I hold that people that I was raised with hold, and
Hmm.
slowly comes out at the end to the title track, which is the flowers that grow from concrete pavements, and that's like one of the only times that you feel some sort of respite almost. But it's a
Yeah.
pretty like deep and heavy album. And it really was quite deep and heavy to promote and to perform as well. But
Mm.
it was one of those albums that I really had to create it and put it out in order for me to understand what it was and continue to move as an artist.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a pivotal album for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it sounds amazing. I listened to it in full and it does feel like that it's telling a story and you can hear through the sonic elements and the way you deliver lyrics is that, it is telling a story and it's awesome to know that it's about kind of like your life story. And was there a pivotal moment that kind of started this album?
I got back from Canada and then I went to go sit at this random cafe and I just at the beginning I was writing out title names and so
Hmm.
Flowers and Hill was a name. Um, I Need You was another name. I was like, okay, cool, these sound cool. What does it mean? And
Mm.
then started just writing a song. I wrote Flowers and Hinder in like 40 minutes or something.
Really?
Then done. And then I just had tremors and stuff through my body. We had band practice and then I got into a car accident. And
Oh,
then straight after the car accident, got home and then boom, every song uh, was just there. And so
yeah.
every day I was at home and just wrote every song. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was like that's what I mean by unconventional. Like it
Mm.
literally hit me to create. Like I feel like it was almost something that was meant to happen for
Yeah.
my system as well. So although it was a crazy time writing and even all of last year, it really helped me develop and grow and understand who I am,
Hmm.
as well as like move on and create music that sort of was like an extension of the album, but also the prettier, the happy, the joyful parts of living as well. And so that's where I
Yeah.
am at the moment too.
Yeah. Well, I'm very glad that you're okay.
Yeah.
But it's also fantastic to have this amazing album as well. So, congratulations on a great album, and I hope we get some more music soon. What are some other ways that you incorporate Māori culture into your music? You did talk about it a little bit before with the album and, growing up and stories that you and your community hold and share with each other. But what are some other things that,
Mm.
Australians might be interested to know that you incorporate into music?
One thing that I do heaps with my music, like particular the songs, is we call it kōrero tuku and it's stories of past time, like stories
Hmm.
of old. So there's proverbial sayings, there's traditional music that our Māori ancestors had created like hundreds of years ago that we still hold on to. And I always try, especially when I'm writing like songs that hold like deep meaning about something, to try link it back to something that was said by some of my ancestors like 100 or so years ago and
Yeah.
try and understand what they were trying to say and make it sense for the now. So one thing that I try to do is to link back to proverbial sayings, link back to old songs of old. Other ways are also like Māori instrumentation. So there's a bunch of We call it taonga puro, and there are a
Hmm.
bunch of different Māori instruments, flutes, all that kind of jazz that we try and implement here and there in different songs
Yeah.
to add the element that, again, linking back to pastime. Other things, there's a thing here called, it's called kapahaka, but it's like multicultural performing arts.
Yeah.
So like when you see the haka, all of that jazz, that's part of kapahaka. And so even there, like a lot of my first writings were kapahaka songs. And so understanding that world and bringing parts of that into my music as well is really important.
Hmm.
And then just the community stuff, like wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, there's always going to be a Māori element. There's always going to be a Māori audience. And so just just living in that truth, just doing my thing and always representing who I am, where I'm from, my people. It's like it's a thing that makes me me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's who you are, and it's a massive part of your life and, your community and your family. And so that's fantastic that you're able to, incorporate it into something you love doing, which is music and sharing that music with the rest of the world. That's great. What a great way to preserve and to promote your community and your culture. You'll be performing at the Tuning Fork on the 10th of April, and it's a part of the Next On initiative. What excites you the most about this performance?
Yeah, this is it's such a buzzy moment because I think we talked about it just before the interview as well, is that
Mm,
Tuning Fork itself is such an iconic venue. And it's one of those venues where like when people play there, it's like that next step into playing massive venues. And so
yeah,
for me, being able to have the support of Next On to be able to gig in Tuning Fork as a headline artist is one, it's crazy, but two,
yeah,
it's like it's reaffirming the movement. Like for me and my community to know that, man, this is like we're slowly but surely making our way up. And so that's one thing that excites me. The other thing is that I get to showcase my world on the stage.
yeah.
So we have a whole Māori lineup. We have Great Self and Hope, who are
Hmm.
my good friends and incredible artists. They'll be performing on the night. And whoever comes through to the show, the community that comes through, they're gonna experience something really special. We named the show Māori Kid Meets World, and that really is kind of like this conversation,
Yeah,
putting Māori music and Māori culture in spaces where maybe nobody has ever heard,
yeah,
and giving our people the exposure because they're from such a small country, but
yeah.
giving people the exposure and giving new audiences the opportunity to hear our stories. It's a really massive thing for me and for what I do, and also for the community. And so this gig is going to be like it's going to be crazy for sure.
It's gonna be. Have you got anything quite special planned for the gig, or will people just have to wait and see?
I've been a little bit teasing some new things, but um, they'll will have songs from right through the discography.
Yeah.
But what people that come to the gig will experience is a few new songs. So I've been
Okay.
teasing them here and there,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be buzzy because I feel like these songs will really go off. So hopefully people resonate with the new music. But it's an exciting time for me and the band as well because these songs are so new that this will be the first showing of them as well.
Oh, wow. So this will be the first time that people get to hear them live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Mohi, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it, especially with the time difference. I hope you have an amazing time at the Tuning Talk. It sounds like it's going to be a fantastic show, and thank you so much for sharing about your culture, your music, and I'm excited to see where you head next with all this new music and exciting project.
Nah, thanks so much for having me. This has been amazing.
No worries.